Welcome to another episode of the Because Football podcast. This is your host, Andrew. Today, we're very excited to bring some big news in the world of American soccer, but we're also going to get into the personal story and the career insights of Ryan Shaffer. Ryan is Vice President of Marketing for Pittsburgh Riverhounds, the Riveters, Highmark Stadium, Montour Sports Complex, and the Riverhounds Academy. I think I got all of those, Ryan. But we're going to talk about those roles, what that looks like for you day to day, and as a marketing team, how you guys connect with the community. I've been watching from afar the last couple of years as a fellow Pennsylvanian, and having some interest in what you guys are doing in Pittsburgh, and whether it comes to attendances, just the community connection, seeing some of these exciting news and announcements of growth around the club has been great to see. So very excited to chat with you, and welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Andrew. Definitely appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. The way we start each one to get to know you a little better here, what's your earliest memory of soccer?
Earliest memory of soccer. This is going to sound funny, but when I was in high school, I played football growing up. I played hockey growing up, very physical sports. And right around my sophomore year, I took maybe one too many concussions and I had to move to a different sport. And that sport happened to be soccer. And a lot of us actually moved to soccer. It was growing. The World Cup was going on. And I jumped over to that side of it. Our team was terrible. We lost every game 2 years in a row. We were losing some games 16, 17, nothing. However, I did score a goal under the lights. And that was the most magical moment. We hadn't scored in 5 games. And I just remember it was the beginning of the game. We celebrated in the middle of the field for what had to be an eternity for the other team. And then they ended up beating us maybe 11-1. But
you guys had that moment and you were able to deliver it, man. That's wild. In terms of from that point on, was it really a part of your awareness very much in terms of being a fan or a general sports fan, and kind of how did you find yourself then getting to, now you're working in soccer?
Well, so I mentioned the World Cup was happening right around the time I was playing, and there was the Landon Donovan age and the big game against Germany where it was close, but we just couldn't get it. And Miroslav Klose. And funny story, side note, I have an autographed jersey from Miroslav Klose. My sister dated his best friend, and he signed the jersey over to me. Yeah, so really cool. And then I just sort of got away from it. I think, late teens, early 20s, I was into different things and not as much soccer, and mostly a football and hockey fan growing up. And soccer came back into the fold right around 3 years ago when I started here. I saw the position had opened up for the Riverhounds, and to be honest, I live about 50 minutes away from here. I forgot the team existed. And it was one of those moments where I thought, well, that's a way to get into sports. I'd always wanted to get into sports. I was terrible at networking when I was younger. I couldn't get internships because I went to school a little later. And I took an opportunity 10 years after starting my own marketing business. And when I saw it open up, I thought, well, I have to get in. I think this would be a really cool opportunity. I'm not a huge soccer fan. Maybe that's an advantage. Maybe it's not. I applied, and the team president, Jeff Garner, we aligned on so many things about entertainment, and it's not just soccer. And that's how we have to build this brand. Honestly, and throughout most of its existence, a lot more people were like me, forgetting the team existed. And I think it wasn't until Tuffy Schallenberger took over in 2014 where you started to see more investment in the team. And over the last 3 years, we've sold out 3/4 of our games. And we were not accustomed to selling out games. So long story short, I wasn't totally into soccer over the last 20 years, but I got myself back into it. And I think what really, aside from getting to know our fans really well, Liverpool came to town last year.
Oh, cool.
And they'd asked for our help in reaching out to fans, and they were actually gracious enough to let me take photos of the game. So I went and did that, and I just got sucked right in. And now I watch Liverpool matches every time I see them on. And I've turned into a soccer fan by working in soccer, I think.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, you mentioned coming into the role, you weren't sure if being outside of it was an advantage or not. I think about this a lot because I'm someone who, has been obsessed with the game and very much in it. And I think a lot of people working in the game have a similar background, but I think there is so much value, whether it's coming from a separate industry altogether, whether it's not necessarily being a soccer fan. I think especially in the US, to come in with a fresh perspective, because a lot of us who like already, it's kind of like the thing of, if you already like the game, you're already a convert, right? Like you're going to see things differently. And a lot of the work in American soccer is how to reach out to people who aren't as invested, who don't have a precedent for the game, who didn't grow up being so connected, and seeing, okay, what are the elements, game day experience, the story of the team, opportunities for connection to actually bring people in. And I think, there's various, like you're saying, Liverpool and the growth of the Premier League has done that naturally. We're talking about, your Ted Lassos and Welcome to Wrexham. So much media has done that. I think we have a lot to thank those three things just in the last probably 5 to 10 years in American soccer. But I think, like, what do you think then you brought in as an outside perspective, somebody, and you talked about a little bit of the entertainment of the full game day experience that you think you brought from a background in your career, and that it's fit in really well and really made a difference early on in your role?
Sure. So I think we're not as much a soccer town as we are a football town, baseball town, hockey town. We're changing that, but let's be honest, the Steelers are here, Pirates are here, Penguins are here. And I think because they've become so accustomed to winning, at least two of those teams have. Sorry, Pirates. I love people over at the Pirates, but they become so accustomed to winning that they just figured the fan base is built in. They don't have to do anything but host the games. And I think they found out over the last few years, and new hires have proven that in the marketing departments, that they stopped focusing on that younger generation. They stopped trying to develop fans, and they just figured it was always going to be baked in. So when the team started to slip and started to slide down, people stopped showing up. And that's a major problem if you work in sports. If you're not putting butts in seats, that's the most common term in sports you'll ever hear is butts in seats. But if you're not putting butts in seats, you can't continue to grow the product. And for the Riverhounds, again, that's where Jeff and I aligned. He came from baseball and minor league baseball, so he knows so much more about the entertainment aspect. And what I know how to do as a marketer is turn people into fans, right? So I'm not coming in with baked in fans. I know most of the industries I worked in and most of my freelance customers, they didn't have fans, so to speak. They had people who would buy their products every once in a while, but they didn't have people continue to grow and follow. And I remember one specific conversation I had that changed everything for me as a marketer with my mentor now. He said, if you can market here, you can market anywhere, because I've never hired a marketer, but we need to grow. And I know I need one, but if you can market here, you can market anywhere. It's the most boring business there is. And 10 years later, that company is 10x'd, and it's all because of digital marketing. So I grew this fan base, so to speak, just by focusing on what they were looking for and focusing on the challenge at hand. You're not just going to have people baked in. You have to go and grow the fan. You have to give them this amazing, memorable experience.
You mentioned one of those last sentences was giving people what they're looking for. How do you apply that then in the sense of American soccer and like attracting new fans who people might not know that much about the game itself, but what are those elements? What are the pieces that you guys focus on? And this is a game day thing first, sure. I'd like to hear, but then how do you tell that story within your marketing content?
Well, it starts with small things. You want the people that are coming to the games to feel welcome. And we started small. We made sure that the people at the gates were smiling, happy, welcoming people and saying, we're so appreciative of you being here. And if you went up to a concession stand, you're met with that same smile, or you spoke with an usher, you're met with that same smile. And we always go out of our way to help improve that fan experience. This year, we did something that I personally love. So a ball goes out into the stands and you can't keep the ball. You have to send the ball back. So our team decided, hey, let's figure out a way. We know this is happening every game. How can we make this a memory? And I spoke with our merchandising department, and said, "Can we take a mini ball and throw it back out into the crowd when they throw this ball back?" And it sounds like a crazy idea. Yeah, you might be throwing money back into the stands, but the way I saw it was you're creating a memory. So the first time I did
100%.
it, the first time you do it, people don't expect it at all. And they have to throw the ball back. It's a little bit disappointing, but hey, it was kind of cool. You caught it. And then, well, they just gave me a ball in replacement, and they're big smiles and they're excited. And then you do it a few more times. And I remember the first time Jeff noticed, he came up to me and said, "This is incredible. This is the greatest idea ever. Keep doing things like that." And I think from our promotions manager to our sales team to our game day staff, we all think the same way. What can we do to improve that game day experience beyond what's going on out on the field? Because we can't control the outcomes on the field. And you have to approach every game as if we're going to lose, because we need the fans to continue to come back. How can we make that experience way more memorable? And when people walk out of the stadium, again, smiling at the gates, saying, "Thanks for coming," is our team. When people walk out of the stadium, that's our goal. We want them to walk out feeling like, I felt like I was wanted. I felt like my voice was heard. And hey, that was a great time. Whether or not it's a draw or a loss or a win, I had a great time. I want to go back. And they're going to tell other people about it.
Yeah.
That's something simple game day that is just going to blow people away. Now, there is something we do on game day that drives our purists a little nuts, and that's we'll play some music during small breaks. When there's a red card, this is one of my favorite things. Our team plays Bye 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 by NSYNC, and they wave them off the field. We do small things to make people laugh and keep them guessing, and it drives the other teams nuts. I can tell you that we got in trouble a few times. Ask for forgiveness.
Really, yeah, like needling away right after getting a red, and then getting that.
Absolutely. But it goes along with that unique experience, and we already have this view, right? You see this view behind me. This is the real view. You have this great view. That's baked in. We're lucky enough to have that. What else can we do to keep people guessing, to keep people having fun? And I think back to my first game. I got hired 3 weeks before my first game, so I had nothing to do with planning.
You're
I just
thrown into it, yeah.
Right, trial by fire. I remember my first meeting. I sat and thought, what did I get myself into? This is terrifying. And our fans that watch this or listen to this, they're going to get a kick out of it. We had this laser show planned, and everything went wrong for this laser show, and it was just a mess. And the first comments I saw about my position were, "Fire your marketing director. He has no idea what he's doing."
Wow.
And I thought, well, that's
man. Yeah.
Amazing. Great start. Same game, I actually went out to the parking lot to meet our Steel Army, our supporters, and I had bumper stickers with the slogan. That was hashtag HoundTan. It's a Pittsburgh thing.
Okay,
Pittsburgh
yeah.
Bees. And I thought, I'm going to buy these stickers with my own money. I'm going to go out, and I want to get to meet the fans. And I start passing out stickers, and I had 2 people look at me and say, "You're really going with this hashtag? It's terrible." And I thought, this is going to be a little tougher than I thought it would be. But you learn very quickly that fans are looking for they're looking for something a little more, and stickers aren't going to be solving their problems. And if you mess up, you're under a microscope, and you will hear about it. So I've never been afraid to fail or mess up. And I can tell you, those first couple of games, I was terrified.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause it's when you get into sports, like you're saying, there is that element. People care so much. And it's also a very clear, hey, they like it or not. Right. And then obviously talking about results that can create a general feeling, a general atmosphere over a club, no matter the other things you're doing, which is different from, I'm sure, the other businesses you're in that don't have quite that connection to the heartstrings, right? And that people really identify with. But speaking of the view of the stadium, right? Speaking of some of your guys' sellouts, we got some exciting news out of Pittsburgh, for the club. And I think for me, what really sticks out is that we talk a lot about, certain generations or certain developments within American pro soccer. And if we even just look at the last like 30 years, different things that have happened, and it becomes more of a norm to have your own stadium and be soccer specific and all of these things. And you guys would start out with a 5,000 seater, which the last few years, you have been selling out 75% of those games, right? Showing that you're able to get people invested and involved. We've got some other exciting developments within USL, like the announcement of promotion and relegation that's going to start in another year or two. Just a lot of positive developments there. And so you guys have announced that you're going to expand the stadium to 15,000 fans. And so I'd like you to kind of chat about kind of what the reaction has been so far within the community, and hopefully that's going over a little bit better than those bumper stickers did.
Just a little bit. The week we announced, this is a crazy number, we got in front of 250 million people. That was our impression count for that first week.
Wow.
To say across that people are...
Well, I'm curious for that, if we can make a quick detour. What was kind of what were your platforms, and what kind of piece was it? Just like, website hits of the article? Was it, Facebook posts? Like, what did you guys see kind of the best engagement with of all those, which is incredible?
All platforms, honestly, all consistently across all platforms. And that's television, that's radio, that's our socials and other socials. We saw this explosion of excitement. And I think we got the idea that, geez, people are just as excited as we are. We expected them to be, but when you see it in numbers never lie. It's very cool. And reading through the comments, because we do read through the comments, believe it or not, reading through the comments, we got more and more excited. And I know that this week we just released another rendering of the stadium, and we plan to drop a few more. But the response has just been incredible. And it's not just Pittsburgh. It's not just the soccer community. It's the surrounding towns, the surrounding states. You have northern West Virginia, you have eastern Ohio, and you have all of these places talking about us, just saying, hey, this is a really cool thing. This means they're invested. They're all in. And as an employee, quite honestly, seeing that our owner has this sort of vision, this sort of 100%. Investment, and he absolutely believes, some of his quotes were unbelievable, saying we are not going to stop at a championship. We're going to keep going. And it's exciting for me to come to work every day and just know that not only are the fans excited and that our team's excited, but our ownership is backing us, and he's super excited too. And I don't know. It's hard to put into words that it's so real, because when I started here, like I said, 3 years ago, I didn't know what to expect. I remember my first game, we had 2,200 people. The weather was not good. I think that played a lot into it. But once we started selling out consistently, people kept coming back, kept talking about us. You saw the growth. You started to think, this is a real possibility. This team is not done growing. Now we have this opportunity. 2028 is not that far away. We're going to be triple the size. And we have a lot of work to do for sure, but it's exciting work. You know that you're going toward something great, and it's not just coming to work every day and doing the same thing day in and day out.
Yeah. The thing that I find so exciting about this, as well as not even necessarily just a Hounds fan or Riveters fan, but just for American soccer, is that I think often what has happened is, one, when you come to the game day experience and having an appropriate stadium, I feel like that has been a weak point and a challenge often in American soccer. Sure. So we can look at all these examples. I was looking at, I've been working on a project, so I was looking back at some like original MLS, like 1996 season highlights, and like, LA Galaxy and the San Jose Clash at the time. Now the Earthquakes, they're playing in these like 50,000 seater stadiums, and like maybe 10,000 people are there. It's a terrible look. It's a terrible atmosphere. It doesn't, I always say, like, I'd rather have 5,000 people in a 5,000 seater than 10,000 in a 30,000, whatever it is. We saw this a lot with the Club World Cup group matches this year too, where, they're only filling up half of a stadium. It doesn't look good. It doesn't feel great. And So there's that element of like the appropriate size, which I feel like often in American soccer we haven't gotten right. You guys, I think, have found your stride, especially in the last couple of years of being consistent with your attendances and selling out close to that 5,000. But the fact that you've kind of developed that foundation as a club and connected with your fans and community, and then been able to now say, hey, like, we're bullish. Obviously, pro-rel helps, and there's going to be a push and growth in attention there. But like, seeing from your ownership, it's worth this reinvestment of let's grow and expand on top of this. I don't think we've seen that a lot. And there's just something in that, the simple expansion, that excites me more about that than like a brand new team coming in with a beautiful, like, for example, Rhode Island FC they have a beautiful new stadium. It's incredible. And what they've done in 2 seasons already is great. We'll see what that looks like in 15 years, right? Can they keep that interest? Can they keep filling the stadium? Are they going to plateau as some teams do? There's always a bit of that, like when clubs are getting very good at it now, of that kind of like beginner's luck and really hitting their stride early. But then it's like, how do you continue that relationship with the fans and keep putting out that type of experience for 5, 10, 15 years? You guys, Riverhounds, have been doing this since like 98, I think it was, the club started, and I've seen even in these last 10 years with new ownership, that consistent growth. And so I think just the simple existence of an expansion project like this within American soccer just like is so exciting to me, more so than if some MLS team came in next week and said, hey, like, we're going to build a 50,000 seater soccer specific, like, that's cool too. But there's just something about that, like, growth element. And then also you guys are able to kind of stay in the same home, but just like build on that.
Yeah, you can't lose the view. If you take the view away, I think that's when fans might get a little sour. I want to give a big shout out to our fans, quite honestly. So we talk about the last 3 seasons. Mm-hmm. Our team on the field, we struggled quite a bit halfway through the season last year. We went, I think, 6 games without a goal. And we were still building on that foundation from 2023. We were Players Shield Award winners, Players Shield Award. We won the Players Shield. There's a lot of excitement. We had a home playoff game, and then we don't score for 6 games. We were still selling out the stadium. So that should tell you the level of investment the fans put in. So just from my perspective, I feel that we owe the fans that level of investment back, and we certainly put that into it. But when you talk about the stadium too, I think a really important piece to this, it's not just about the soccer. Yes, it's mostly about the soccer. Don't get me wrong, but we see the South Shore of Pittsburgh is this major opportunity. There's a lot of growth happening here. And 5 years ago, it was sort of the forgotten place. And it's easy access. It used to be a place when I was younger that's where you would go to if you were 21, 22 years old to have a good time. And we want that to come back. Well, we want that to come back for all ages, not just the young 20s. And with this stadium, we're also bringing the idea of concerts. And we don't really have a really good in-between in the city of this giant concert venue like an Acrisure Stadium across the river, or something between that and Stage AE, which is, I believe, 8,000. I'm guessing there. Hopefully they don't watch this podcast or listen. But something in between. It's a great view. It's outdoors that could hold 20,000 people. I think we're thinking beyond soccer and about injecting some life back into the South Shore, because as it grows around us, we want to grow it from our perspective too. So I just wanted to throw that in there. We're looking out for the city and the community as well. It's not just about the teams.
Yeah. And I think that's a little bit of kind of goes into my next question here. And because your role is not just vice president of marketing for the Riverhounds, but also for the Riveters, women's team, the academy, the stadium itself, right? So there's a lot of kind of different approaches with that. But if we back up a little bit, you were talking about getting 250 million views and impressions with this stadium announcement. From your side as the marketing team, what were you guys thinking? What were those plans? What went into place to say, like, hey, we know we have this news. How do we really leverage this? How do we really explode this thing to kind of give it the attention that it deserves. So what were kind of those discussions, and what was a bit of that strategy that you guys putting into it within the marketing team?
Well, I think a big thing was we wanted to make sure enough people heard the initial announcement as possible. We had amazing politicians come in and give speeches. We had the team here. We had both teams here. We had some Riveters here too. Tuffy was here, gave an incredible speech. Jeff was here giving a speech, and we had Bob Pompiani here, who's a huge local personality. We had several news stations. We wanted to make sure that when that initial announcement was made, it wasn't within an echo chamber. We wanted to scream it out loud, right? And we wanted people to see the stadium for more than you might think of a soccer stadium. So, for example, when we put it out the first time, we had some people sharing it and saying, another great concert venue. So they're not even thinking soccer. And for the bulk of people were thinking soccer, but just seeing things like that, you knew that you were reaching such a broader audience. So what we also wanted to do was give as much information as we possibly could and just continue with that message of we are invested, and we're going to continue to do this. We're not slowing down anytime soon. Product on the field, product outside of the field. We are all invested. We are all in. And I think you need that sort of honesty, because you look at some other teams and they hold a lot of information tightly and they don't let the fans in. They don't let the community in, and they're afraid to release information. We are the exact opposite. We want the information out there. We want as many people to hear it as possible, and we want them to see this place for what they want to see it as. And yes, we are hoping to grow the soccer base at the same time, and we will. And the World Cup's coming, so that'll help too. It's about not hiding things from your fans. And I think as a marketer, I love that idea. I love letting people see behind the curtain. And we're just putting all of our cards out there, and you're going to see every step of the way, the entire process of what we're doing. If
we step back a little bit from just the stadium expansion itself, and just that general connection with the fans, like what has allowed you guys, you think, when you came in 3 years ago and seeing that coinciding with a growth in attendance, 75% sellouts, what do you think has been kind of that recipe that you guys have done on the marketing side? And then how does that look now into the next couple of years with this expansion, with like, hey, we now have, like, this is great. This is something to chase after, like you mentioned. But how do we actually really get this done? How do we actually create more of that fan base? And instead of just being happy with 5,000 and selling that out, we're looking into the 5 figures and up to 15,000 to sell at this new stadium.
Sure. So it's about finding new audiences. It's always about finding new audiences. I think one of the mistakes that this team had made for a very long time was only serving that soccer audience. And they were finding that they didn't really have a big audience, and maybe they didn't have a lot of the marketing pieces in place. So my first job when I got here was to just put the basics of marketing back into place as I knew it to be. They'd done a great job over the couple of seasons before I got here, but I think they just needed someone to come in and plug things in and fill some holes, right? And then it just became about finding new audiences. So we, as I said, sort of have this minor league baseball mentality for entertainment, where we want to find new audiences by bringing different sorts of entertainment in. So that first year, we had a Pittsburgh Steeler come in, we had a Pittsburgh Pirate come in, we had a Penguin come in, and they had autograph sessions. And we tried to reach out to their fan bases, the general sports fan, and say, hey, we're over here too. Then we threw a wrench in the plan, and we brought a dance mom over here, Dr. Holly, because there are parents and daughters out there too that love dance moms, and even sons and fathers, don't get me wrong, but there's this huge group of people that love dance moms, and dance moms was in Pittsburgh, right? So let's see if we can find this audience and bring them in. And I just remember that first time we had a dance mom here, we had this influx of about 700 or 800 fans, and they were here for the first time meeting Dr. Holly, not even thinking about the team, right? And then they had a good time at the stadium because we put all of those small things into place, from the experience to just making sure they remembered everything from the view to the smiles and the great customer service. And a lot of them came back and continued to come back. So I think where minor league baseball sort of fails is they'll bring you in with the gimmick and they don't really.
But can they hook you, right? Yeah. Can they keep you coming back repeatedly?
Right. We don't want to make it all about the gimmick. We want to make it about the experience. So you come in for this reason, but hey, this team's really good. They're playing really well, and hey, the supporter section's really loud. There's smoke going everywhere. This is a fun time, and you can't beat that view. And you're thinking about those things, and then you see that the tickets are way more affordable at this point than, say, going to a Steelers game, a Penguins game, where tickets are 4 or 5 times the price. How do you get a family over there, right? I know as a dad, it's been tough for me as a father of 3 to get my family to go out to one of those games. We do it every once in a while, but it's not affordable for us. We have to make a huge investment, a few $100s just to go to one of those games. You can bring your entire family out to one of our games. We have a deal right now going on for $100. A family of 5 can come out to a game and they get hot dogs and a drink. So we're the more affordable option at this point. We put everything into that game day experience, and then we go out and search for those different pockets of fans. And that's how we gear our marketing too. So when I'm doing my targeting, and I won't get into the marketing nerddom, unless you want to make this
bring it on. Yeah, bring it on. Yeah.
When I do my targeting, we had, for example, Napoleon Dynamite a few weeks ago. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, we had Pedro, Efren Ramirez.
You guys serving meatloaf? Yeah.
We serve tater tots, believe it or not. So, and let me run through this whole thing. I think you'll love it. We had Efren Ramirez come in, Pedro. He did meet and greets, and he was fantastic. But we hit those fans early on in the season and said, we almost made it seem like there's not really a soccer game, but Efren's going to be at Highmark Stadium. And as we got closer, we were mixing the two together. So you were remembering, okay, there's a soccer game, there's Efren, and then by the end of it, Efren's at the soccer game instead of the soccer game's happening behind Efren. So we're starting to build it up, right, as this is a full-scale event. It's not one thing or the other. It's all-encompassing.
Yeah.
And our marketing team, I challenged them to come up with some fun ideas. So we did 3 videos. I remember we played Rhode Island in the win video we put out there after. We made Uncle Rico us, and we made Hartford Athletic Kip, which was the cousin, and they're having a conversation eating steak on the stoop. And I don't know if you remember this scene, but Rhode Island and their mascot came riding by on a bike as Napoleon and Pedro, and we put an L on the steak, and Uncle Rico grabs the steak and says, "Watch this," and he throws it and smacks Napoleon off the bike.
Yeah.
We did Rex Kwon-Do, and this was all part of the lead up, part of the build up for organic content. One of the coolest things that happened, our mascot Ammo, which is another piece to all of this entertainment, he learned the entire Napoleon Dynamite dance. Took him maybe 4 or 5 months.
Wow.
And did it on the field.
That's dedication, man. Oh my gosh.
So we recorded that, put it online, and it blew up online. And we also had a Liger drawing contest. So we invited fans to come on the field, draw your best Liger. This is brilliant.
The depth of this. Yeah. And if you're not a Napoleon Dynamite fan, I'm sorry. You should go watch the movie if you want just a mindless hour and a half. But this is, the connections are brilliant, Ryan.
Well, wait till you find out the prize of the Liger drawing contest. It's a year of free steak dinners once a month from Texas Roadhouse, because steak was the theme of the entire thing. So every detail that we put into this had to tie back to the fun promotion part of it. But hey, we went out and beat Rhode Island that day too, and it was just a great time. And then I'll throw one more wild thing in there. I don't know how I convinced players to do this, but it was 80s night the next week. And I said, we have to sort of outdo ourselves. How do we do 80s night? We went frame for frame with the Journey video for separate ways, had players in it, had Ammo in it.
Wow.
We cut the entire music video, made it look exactly alike, and we put it out there leading up to. And how marketing works is the more that your organic content gets in front of people, the more that your ads are going to serve those people. And not only did our fans love it, but people in Pittsburgh were sharing, what is going on over there at Highmark Stadium?
Yeah,
What's going on with the Riverhounds?
Yeah.
And we had another packed stadium for 80s night. And how we knew we'd made it, people were coming dressed up like 80s music bands. And we did not tell them to.
Yeah,
exactly.
Unreal.
That's when you know people are totally bought in. When you're buying in and you're having fun, you're thinking, man, I hope everybody else buys in too. But I think when they see the front office buying in, and even the players on the field are buying in, like, hey, I want to be a part of this. This looks like a great time. And hey, the team's doing well. So, I mean, it just marries together, but that's part of the experience. And we want to do better every single week. And we might come up with some crazy ideas, but I don't necessarily want us to become the Savannah Bananas. I want people to become soccer fans in the process. So going back to it, I don't just want the gimmick to bring them in and they're done. I want them to come in. The gimmick's a lot of fun. The promotion's a lot of fun. We're having a great time, but you know, this game's pretty great too. And what's the first sport you play as a kid? It's typically soccer, right? So you might remember back as you're watching the game, when I was a kid, I loved this. Why don't I love this now? I got to come back.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So long story there, Andrew, but that's how our marketing department.
No, that's awesome. No, that's amazing. I'm going to go look for that video now of Ammo doing the Napoleon Dynamite dance for sure. Trying to find that. But in terms of like that buy-in, right? How did that look for the Riveters? So the Rivers are the newer women's team that you guys have in Pittsburgh too. You know, is that a different conversation? You know, we've talked about this with some of our other guests of like, hey, is there a difference there? Do you look at different targeting, different segments? It's a newer team too. So like, how do you kind of build some of those connections with fans, with the players and that? So what's kind of gone in, you know, Riverhounds being more established, even if people had forgotten, but, you know, had a new opportunity with a new team coming in as well.
The Riveters were a lot of fun. We got to pretty much mold it exactly how we'd wanted it. We thought there'd be a little more crossover between the two sets of fans. And believe it or not, the Riveters, most of their fans are not Riverhounds fans, at least not yet. And that was one of the first things we found out. But with the Riveters, I'll start with the demographics. They skew about 12 years younger, and they lean more heavily toward the female demographic.
Sure.
So we knew we had to cater that game day experience. We're still going to do a lot of the same things that we do well. We had to cater that game day experience to those fans. So we did things like friendship bracelets because that's a big part of it. We changed the music type that we play when people walk in.
That was top of mind. I was wondering if it was a different soundtrack.
Right. And I think it was all thoughtfully done. And we wanted the fans to be involved from day one. So everything from choosing the name of the team, the Riveters, we let the fans vote on that and help us pick the team name. And how it ties to Pittsburgh, for those of you who do not know, the artist who drew Rosie the Riveter from Pittsburgh. And a lot of people, they may not have known that, but they knew that there was some tie to Pittsburgh. But we knew 78% of people picked the Riveters when we got down to the final five. We knew it was
wow. Yeah, exactly. That's pretty definitive.
From a marketing standpoint, we developed this plan as sort of grow with us. So we're building this team, right? We want you to build the team with us. You helped us pick the name. And we want you to be there every step of the way, helping us make decisions, right? And helping to be involved and to really be invested in. Shout out to Caitlin Clark and the WNBA over the last few years for how big they've made women's sports, and for the U.S. national team soccer, how big that's made women's sports. Women's sports is on the rise, and it's super exciting to see. I think part of it is we struck while the iron was hot. It was the right time for sure. And another piece of it was we invested our fans right away in everything we did. Our first hashtag, Riveters Rise, we were asking our fans to rise with us. So we're gonna have this event where we're unveiling the jerseys. Come to the event, come meet the players, come see what we're doing here, and everything we did, rise with us. And I remember the first video campaign we did. It still gives me chills thinking about it. It was this little girl playing soccer and seeing a ball for the first time, and then she rose through the ranks and she started playing the team sport, and then she started winning games and then won championships. And the last scene was a Pittsburgh Riveter looking at her phone and a dad sent her a text, and it said, "I'm so proud of you, kiddo." And it was that coming of age moment, that rising moment right before she walked out on the field. That was part of it. Rise with us. And I think that's how we hit, parents and soccer fans alike with that piece of it too. And that first game, when we got here and saw, it was our 4th largest crowd in stadium history for the first game.
Wow.
And people were decked out in their Riveters gear, from the bandanas to the shirts, and they were all doing the arm, right?
Mm-hmm. And 100%.
Total buy-in from day one. And seeing that as a different audience at the same time, it was like, wow, we did something right, but it's not just us doing something right. The fans were right there every step of the way, helping us make this happen. Mm. And I think that's what a lot of teams start to forget, is they sort of work within a silo, and they're thinking, what can we do to bring fans in? And I think of it from that outside perspective. What can this team, even though I work for the team as the fan, what can this team do to excite me, to bring me in, to get me invested? And for the Riveters, we just invited them to do it with us. And I think we're going to continue to do that.
So cool. Now, and those are those stories of when it is something new. I think, you guys have the example. I think in American soccer, we're getting much better at understanding that and starting strong. And again, it's a positive sign, just like the stadium expansion, just like with the World Cup coming, a lot of really great indicators going forward. So no, it's awesome to hear. And yet setting, being in the top 5 all time for a brand new team, right? It speaks a lot to that runway you guys built and kind of taken off in that moment. So it's great to hear. And thanks for all the, I want the marketing nerd. We want it. I like all the details and the case studies and all that, Ryan. That was awesome. But speaking of nerddom here, we're going to move on to one of our favorite segments of our all-time 5-a-side team. So for you and for those listening who might not be aware, you got 5 players that you can pick. Could be anyone, men's, women's, alive, not somebody we've heard of, the guy who passed the ball to you to score that goal in high school, whatever. Totally open.
It hit the post, actually. It came back down to me.
There you go. The post itself, maybe that's your guy. So, but the one key is you have to pick yourself. So you've got to play. So it's you and 4 all-time legends and GOATs. So Ryan, hit us.
See, here's the problem. The soccer purists are going to say they all play the same position or something like that, and I won't get that. So it's going to be a bad look for me. But it's more recency bias.
From the heart. Let's get it. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to throw Klose in there because he signed a jersey for me. Why not?
For sure. And I think he's the all-time leading scorer in World Cup history. I think it's Klose. Yeah. So, yeah.
Got to have him in there. Landon Donovan, I know that there are some people that hate that, but he got me into watching the U.S. men's team, so I have to have him in there too. It was an exciting run. Mm-hmm. Virgil van Dijk, because I've followed his career as I try to follow Liverpool. It's only been a year, but I've heard that name well before Liverpool, and then I watched him, and it's incredible to see him play. And I'm a defensive guy. I've always played defense, and I've always loved defense. So I look at him, and I think, man, that guy's best there is, at least in my opinion.
He's a stud for sure. He's a leader. He's graceful on the ball, but he's also tough and risks himself. So yeah, a great pick there.
Mo Salah, because I met him and I've watched him just score a ton of goals, Golden Boot last year. That was super impressive. Yeah. We take credit for all of that success, by the way. They came and played in Pittsburgh.
Of course.
So that's us.
Of course.
I absolutely have to pick a Riverhound here, right? Because I've watched this team and they're spectacular. And I'm going to go with Robbie Mertz because he's the Pittsburgh kid. He's been here the entire time. I've been here even longer. And Robbie, one of the best guys you'll ever meet. Happy to do anything for you. But man, watching him play, he plays so hard. And he's not the biggest guy on the field. He's not the fastest guy on the field. But you wouldn't know that by the way he plays. And the team could be down a goal late in the game, and you're looking to Robbie to just break through 2 defenders and make something crazy happen. And I get to sit on the field and watch that with a camera, so it's really cool to see.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give a shout-out to Robbie here, and I know if I can throw some subs in there, Danny Griffin, Albert Equal, one of the nicest guys you'd ever meet. But I got to go with my man Robbie as that last pick because he's fantastic. That's 6 players. I know. don't judge me.
We're rotating with a sub, you'll rotate in and out with Virgil taking turns on defense. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to take turns. I mean, I'm almost as good as him, right?
Exactly. All right, keep him in his place. But no, awesome. I always love a local hometown shout out too. Just for everybody watching, that's not a contractual obligation on Ryan's part. That's going to come from the heart, right? So now we love that. And then, to wrap up here, Ryan, I'd love to hear your answer and thoughts on this. But as the name of the podcast and the way we like to kind of put a punctuation at the end of each of these episodes, could you complete the sentence? Because football.
That's a good one. Ending the podcast with because football. Everything I have right now, because football. It's so cool. I know I'm supposed to end, but it's so cool what this has turned me into, quite honestly, and what I've developed into in my career. I've done a lot of cool things in my career, but nothing like this. I've never met fans this passionate. I've never experienced anything quite like this, and I've wondered where it was for 2 decades of my life. And over the last 3 years, I wouldn't change it for the world. Everything that I have, all of the success that I've had, because football.
Awesome, man. No, it's great. And another thing I love about American soccer is that because of this, because it's not a bedrock foundational thing for the majority of us, I've heard so many amazing stories, whether it's even guests on the podcast like yourself, whether it's people I've been meeting on our road trip to the World Cup series, traveling all over the country, and just talking to people. Like it's just as meaningful, it's just as poignant, it's just as relevant for people, even when it shows up in people's lives later on, right? It doesn't just have to be a day one thing. And I think that's for the purists out there, that is actually a advantage, a strength that we have in American soccer culture, and mainstream American soccer cultures. People come to it and it's not going to have the depth of knowledge and all these things. And, the rest of the other parts of the world might turn their nose up, but I see it as an absolute strength and just kind of the vibrance and importance of the game in a personal and for you in a professional sense. So love that answer. And thanks for sharing your story with us. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. Where can we find you? Where can we keep track of the next great promotional night that you guys are doing, whether it's Riverhounds or Riveters? What's a good place to keep in touch with you and the teams and stadiums and everybody you're representing?
Sure. So our handles are pretty easy. Riverhounds SC, Riveters SC. Highmark Stadium. Buffalo's not happy about that one because we have the actual name. And if you want to have a one-on-one with me, I'm very open to this. I love these conversations. You can find me on LinkedIn, Ryan R. Shaffer. That's Shaffer. Send me an invite. Send me a message. I'd love to have a call with anybody who wants to get into the sport or just wants to have a conversation. I'm never above that, and I can always find time for it because I just enjoy doing it. I want to see this grow more and more and more. So feel free to reach out at any point.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Ryan, for sharing with us and everybody listening, watching. Thanks for being here, and stay tuned for more great stories. And, we'll keep an eye on the stadium expansion news out of Pittsburgh and hopefully get there someday ourselves.
Thanks, Andrew.
Cool. All right. Thanks, everybody. See you on the next episode. Peace.